close your eyes for a moment and imagine a vessel in the dead center of a vast, unforgiving ocean. This is not just any ship. It is a masterpiece of engineering. It is built from the finest, most resilient timber ever harvested. Its engines are a marvel of modern technology, capable of generating thousands of horsepower. The hull is polished, the sails are reinforced, and the crew stands on deck, hearts pounding, ready to conquer the horizon. On paper, this ship is destined for greatness. It has everything it needs to reach the golden shores of success. But as the sun reaches its peak, a terrifying reality sets in. There is a single, fatal flaw. The ship has no rudder. The engines roar into life. The fuel burns white-hot. The propellers churn the deep blue water into a violent, frothy foam. From a distance, it looks like the ship is moving with immense power. But look closer. It isn't traveling. It is merely spinning. It is thrashing against the waves without a single degree of heading. Without a rudder, this multi-million-dollar machine is nothing more than a giant piece of driftwood. It is at the absolute mercy of the invisible tides. It is a slave to the unpredictable whims of the storm and the silent, pulling currents of the deep. It expends all its energy, exhausts its entire crew, and burns every drop of its precious fuel, only to find itself exactly where it started, or worse, pushed further into the dark, cold void of the unknown. Does this tragic image sound familiar? If you look at your life through a lens of cold, hard truth, you might realize that you are that ship. Look around you. You are surrounded by more fuel than any generation in human history. You have unlimited access to information, tools that can automate your work, and platforms that can broadcast your voice to billions. You have dreams that are so big they make your heart race. You have goals that keep you staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m., fueled by a burning desire to change your life, your family's future, and perhaps the world. You have the finest wood and the strongest engine. But the moment the sun rises and the world begins to scream for your attention, the rudder disappears. You start your day with a mission, but by 9:15 a.m., you are caught in the tide of social media. You didn't plan to be there, but the current was too strong. You find yourself pushed by the wind of other people's opinions, outraged by a headline that doesn't affect you, or feeling inadequate because of a filtered photo of someone you don't even know. You spend your morning reacting instead of acting. You spend your afternoon answering emails that don't matter and attending meetings that shouldn't exist. By the time the sun sets, you are bone tired. You feel a deep, soul-crushing exhaustion. But when you look at the map of your life, you realize the truth. You haven't moved a single mile toward your destination. You have burned all your fuel just to stay afloat in the same spot. We must stop calling distraction a minor habit or a modern inconvenience. Let's call it what it actually is: the silent, methodical killer of human greatness. Distraction is a thief that doesn't take your money. It takes your time, which is the only thing money cannot buy. Every single time you pick up that glass slab in your pocket to just check one thing. You are entering into a contract with a thief. You are selling a piece of your future legacy for a fleeting, hollow hit of cheap dopamine. You aren't a lazy person. You are a powerful ship that has been hijacked. You are being used. Every minute you spend lost in the fog of Saonyang, you are a digital sharecropper. You are working for free to build someone else's data empire, to optimize someone else's algorithm, and to line the pockets of a corporation that views your attention as a commodity to be harvested. While you are busy counting likes, your own empire, your skills, your business, your relationships, your spirit is lying in ruins, buried under the waves of a wasted life. It is time to stop drifting. It is time to find your rudder. We often make the mistake of believing that focus is a battle won by sheer mental force. We tell ourselves that if we were just stronger, more disciplined, or more resilient, we could ignore the chaos around us. But this is a fundamental lie. Focus does not begin with an iron will or a superhuman brain. It begins with a clean desk, a silent room, and a deliberate boundary. You cannot ask your mind to be still when your environment is screaming for your attention. You cannot ask your spirit to soar when it is being tripped by the clutter on your floor and the digital noise in your pocket. To master your inner world, you must first master the outer world. We must stop being the drifter who is a victim of his surroundings and start being the architect who is the creator of them. An architect does not build a skyscraper by accident. He does not hope that steel and glass will somehow arrange themselves into a masterpiece. He designs the space with cold, calculated precision. He understands that every line, every beam, and every open area serves a specific purpose. He knows that structure dictates behavior. Now, look at your workspace through the eyes of an architect. Look at the surfaces where you are supposed to create your life's work. Is it a sanctuary, a place of power and clarity, or is it a graveyard of dead ideas, unfinished snacks, and unnecessary distractions? If your phone is within reach, even if it is face down, even if it is on silent, you have already lost the battle. Modern psychology proves that the mere presence of a smartphone reduces cognitive capacity. It is what I call a false anchor. It creates a heavy, subconscious drag on your brain. You think you are working, but a part of your mind is constantly monitoring that black mirror, waiting for a buzz, a light, or a phantom vibration. It keeps you busy in your head, but it keeps you stagnant in your reality. It is a leak in your fuel tank that you refuse to patch. True, high-level focus requires what I call a merciless cleanup. This isn't about tidying up, it's about a radical reclamation of your sovereignty. You must treat your workspace like a temple. Think about the feeling of walking into a great library or a sacred cathedral. There is a weight to the silence. There is a purity to the air. In those spaces, you don't feel like checking your email or scrolling through a feed. The environment itself demands respect. Your workspace should be no different. It should be a place where the world cannot touch you. a fortress of solitude where your goals are the only gods you worship. Clear the clutter until there is nothing left to distract your eyes. Turn off every notification until there is nothing left to interrupt your ears. When you strip away the non-essential, you create a vacuum that your focus will naturally fill. You are shifting from a scattered light to a focused lens. Consider the physics of it. The sun provides a gentle, faint warmth to the entire planet every day, yet it rarely sets anything on fire. But if you take a simple magnifying glass and hoido that same sunlight into a single pinpoint dot, you can burn through wood, plastic, and even metal. The energy is the same. The only difference is the concentration. Most people spend their entire lives as scattered light, mildly warm, generally busy, but never burning through the obstacles in their path. They wonder why they never see the fire of success. It's because they refuse to design the lens. They refuse to build the sanctuary. They choose the graveyard of distractions over the temple of results. As the architect of your own life, you have to make a choice today. Do you want to provide a faint, forgettable warmth to the world? Or do you want to be the laser that carves its name into history? Choose your environment, or your environment will choose your failure. Why is it so incredibly hard to stay focused? Why does your mind wander the moment you sit down to do something that actually matters? Most people carry a heavy burden of guilt. They believe their inability to focus is a moral failing, a lack of character, or a sign that they are simply not cut out for success. But I'm here to tell you that it is none of those things. It is not a flaw in your soul. It is a trap in your biology. You have to understand that your brain was never designed for 10-hour deep work sessions. It was never evolved to write complex code, build business empires, or analyze market trends for hours on end. Your brain was designed for one thing: survival. For millions of years, your ancestors survived because their brains were wired to be hyper-alert to their surroundings. In the wild, a sudden movement in the grass or a strange sound was more important than whatever goal they were pursuing. Curiosity and distraction were survival mechanisms. This ancient hardware is still running inside your skull, but the world around it has changed. Your brain is wired to seek rewards, and in the past, those rewards were tangible and life-saving. A ripe fruit, a fresh water source, or the safety of a tribe. These triggers released a chemical called dopamine, the molecule of more. It was the fuel that kept our ancestors searching for what they needed to stay alive. Fast forward to today, and that same dopamine system has been hijacked. The reward is no longer a berry or a safe cave. Today, the reward is a like, a comment, a red notification bubble, or the infinite scroll of a video feed. This is the dopamine gap. It is the chasm between the instant gratification your brain craves and the delayed gratification your goals require. Your brain wants the hit now, but your dreams require you to work for months or years before you see a single result. You aren't just fighting your own impulses. You are fighting a war against millions of years of evolution and billions of dollars of technology. Every app on your phone was engineered by the world's smartest psychologists to keep you hooked, to exploit that ancient survival mechanism and to keep you trapped in the gap. To win this war, you must stop fighting yourself and start observing yourself. Most people respond to the urge for distraction with judgment. They feel the itch to check their phone. They fight it. They eventually give in. And then they hate themselves for it. This cycle of resistance and guilt only drains more of your mental energy, leaving you even weaker for the next round. The architect takes a different approach. When you feel that familiar itch, the sudden, desperate need to check your notifications or open a browser tab, don't judge it. Don't try to crush it with sheer willpower. Instead, just watch it. Look at the urge as if you were a scientist observing a specimen. Recognize that this urge is nothing more than a wave in the ocean of your consciousness. A wave is not the ocean. A wave rises. It gains momentum. It reaches a peak of intensity where it feels like it might overwhelm you. But then, if you don't fight it, if you just let it be, it eventually crashes and dissolves back into the deep. You are the ocean, vast and stable. The wave cannot hurt the ocean, no matter how high it climbs, unless the ocean forgets what it is and starts to believe it is the wave. When you stop identifying with every fleeting thought and every biological craving, you reclaim your power. You realize that you can feel the urge and not act on it. You can feel the boredom and stay in the chair. You can feel the wave and remain the ocean. This is the ultimate hack. When you master your biology, focus is no longer a struggle. It becomes your natural state. Here is the cold, hard truth that no one wants to hear. The one that makes people uncomfortable because it challenges our modern obsession with having it all. You are failing, not because you are doing bad things, but because you are trying to do too many good things. We live in an unprecedented age of infinite opportunity. At any given moment, you can learn a new language, start a side hustle, join a fitness challenge, or dive into 1,000 different rabbit holes of information. On the surface, this feels like a blessing. But in reality, this abundance is our greatest curse. We have been conditioned to believe that saying yes is a sign of ambition. We think that by opening every door, we are maximizing our chances of success. But what we are actually doing is thinning ourselves out. We are spreading our energy, our talent, and our limited time so thin that we become translucent. We are like a river that has been diverted into 100 different tiny streams. Instead of a powerful torrent that can carve through rock, we become a shallow marsh that eventually evaporates under the sun. You aren't making progress. You are just vibrating in place. True focus is not a passive act of paying attention. It is a violent, courageous act of rejection. It is the grit to say no to 99 great, shiny, and profitable opportunities, so that you can say a resounding, unwavering yes to one magnificent obsession. Many people are afraid of this. They suffer from the fear of missing out, so they try to keep every plate spinning. But consider the physics of a voyage. A ship that tries to sail toward 5 different ports at once will never leave the harbour. Or worse, it will tear itself apart in the middle of the sea. To reach the destination that actually matters, you must have what I call the grit to delete. You must be willing to look at things that are good, things that are interesting, and even things that are profitable, and strike them off your list without mercy. This is the difference between a hobbyist and a master. A hobbyist wants to do everything. A master is willing to do one thing better than anyone else on the planet. This leads us to the most uncomfortable question of all. What are you actually willing to sacrifice? Most people want the crown, but they aren't willing to endure the weight of it. Are you willing to kill your hobbies for a season? Are you willing to be out of the loop on the latest trends, the newest shows, or the next big thing that everyone is talking about? Are you willing to be misunderstood? To let people think you are boring or antisocial because you chose the work over the noise? Focus is not defined by what you do. It is defined by what you choose not to do. It is about the negative space in your life. The statue of David was not created by adding clay. It was created by chipping away everything that was not David. Your greatness is already there, buried under a mountain of good distractions and useful diversions. You must burn the bridges to your distractions. You must make the path to retreat so difficult and so painful that the only psychological way forward is toward your goal. Stop trying to build a life of "and." I want this and that and this. Start building a life of "or." This goal or nothing. This mission or failure. When you narrow your field of vision to a single point, the world starts to move out of your way. But as long as you are looking at everything, you will never see anything clearly. Choose your obsession, kill your options, and let the fire of your singular focus burn a path through the dark. There is a myth that has been sold to us by movies, social media, and hustle culture. It's the idea that you need to feel inspired to act. We are told that we need a burning passion, a surge of energy, or a perfect moment to begin our work. This is the cult of motivation, and I am here to tell you that motivation is a liar. It is a fair-weather friend who promises you the world when the sun is shining, when your coffee is warm, and when your goal feels within reach. But the moment the road gets steep, the moment the sky turns grey and the initial excitement fades, motivation packs its bags and leaves you stranded in the dark. If you wait for motivation to do your work, you are effectively giving up control of your life. You are becoming a slave to your moods, a victim of your fluctuating neurochemistry. You are letting your emotions, the most unstable part of the human experience, sit in the captain's chair of your ship. On the days you feel good, you move. On the days you feel tired, anxious, or bored, you drift. This is not how empires are built. This is how dreams go to die. But the architect understands a different truth. If you build a system, you become the master of your destiny. A system is the cold, rhythmic, and indifferent ticking of a clock. It is a set of non-negotiable rules that dictate your behavior regardless of your internal state. Think about the engine of a car. It doesn't ask if it feels like turning the pistons today. It doesn't check the weather or its mood. If the key is turned and the fuel is there, the engine runs. It is a mechanical certainty. Your life needs that same mechanical certainty. When you have a system, you stop asking the most dangerous question in the world. Do I feel like working today? That question is a trap. The answer will almost always be no, because the human brain is wired to conserve energy and seek comfort. Instead, you start asking a much more powerful question. Is the system running? A system says, I write 500 words at 8 a.m. It doesn't say, I write when I have a great idea. A system says, I work out for 45 minutes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. It doesn't say, I work out when I feel energetic. By removing the choice, you remove the struggle. Willpower is a finite resource. It is like a battery that drains throughout the day. Every time you have to force yourself to start, you are draining that battery. But a system creates momentum, and momentum is self-sustaining. When you follow a system long enough, something miraculous happens. Discipline stops being an effort and starts becoming your identity. You move from, I am trying to be focused, to, I am a person who stays focused. You no longer need to fight yourself. You no longer need to summon a burst of motivation to get off the couch. You just do what needs to be done, because that is simply who you are. It is as natural as breathing. A system removes the drama from your day. It turns the impossible task into a series of boring, manageable steps. And here is the secret that the motivated people will never understand. Success is rarely the result of one giant, inspired leap. It is the result of 1,000 boring, systematic steps taken when you didn't feel like it. It is the victory of the machine over the mood. Stop looking for a spark and start building an engine. Stop waiting for the fire and start stacking the wood. When the system is strong, your success is no longer a matter of if, it is only a matter of when. You don't need more inspiration. You need more infrastructure. Build the system, run the system, and let the system carry you to the horizon that motivation could never reach. Finally, as you embark on this journey to reclaim your mind, you must understand a profound truth. Focus is not a static state of perfection. It is not a destination where you arrive and stay forever. Focus is like breathing. It is a living, rhythmic process. There will be seasons in your life where your focus is deep, calm, and effortless. Moments where you breathe in the oxygen of productivity and feel as though you can conquer anything. But there will also be moments where you find yourself gasping for air. There will be days when the world is too loud, when your biology wins and when your system breaks down. You will fail. Let that sink in. You will get distracted. You will Despite your best intentions, spend 2 hours down a digital rabbit hole that doesn't matter, watching things that don't enrich your soul, or worrying about things you cannot control. You will wake up with a plan and find yourself at noon having accomplished nothing. This is not a tragedy. It is the human condition. The danger is not the failure itself. The danger is what you do after the failure. Most people, when they lose their focus, choose to drown themselves in a sea of guilt. They beat themselves up. They tell themselves they are weak, that they have no discipline, and that they might as well give up on the day entirely because they already ruined it. But you must realize that guilt is just another form of distraction. It is a sophisticated way for your brain to keep you from doing the work, by making you obsess over the past. Guilt keeps your eyes on the ground you just fell on, instead of the path that lies ahead. When the system breaks, and it will, you must learn the art of the quick forgiveness. Do not linger in the shame of a wasted hour. Do not wait for tomorrow or next Monday to start over. The architect does not wait for a new year to fix a cracked foundation. He fixes it the moment he sees it. If you fall, you must learn to fall forward. Falling forward means that even in your stumble, you are gaining ground. It means that you use the failure as data, not as a judgment. You ask, what tripped me? And then you simply return to the system. Focus is not about being a rigid, unfeeling robot. It's about being a human being with a clear, unwavering direction. A robot cannot adapt. It can only execute. But a human can stumble, recalibrate, and keep moving. The most successful people on this planet are not the ones who never get distracted. They are the ones who return to their focus faster than anyone else. They have shortened the gap between the distraction and the return. Stop starting new days. The idea of "I'll start over tomorrow" is a trap that keeps you in a cycle of procrastination. You don't need a new sunrise to be a new person. You only need a new breath. Instead of starting a new day, start a new identity. An identity doesn't depend on the calendar. A person who identifies as focused doesn't quit because they had a bad morning. They simply realize they were out of character for a moment and return to their true self. Your future self is waiting for you at the end of this path. That version of you, the one who achieved the goals, who built the empire, who found the peace, is not a perfect person. They are simply a person who refused to stay down. They are a person who mastered the environment, understood their biology, built their system, and had the grace to forgive themselves every time they faltered. The world belongs to those who can stay in the room when everyone else has left. It belongs to those who can stay on the task when everyone else is scrolling. It belongs to you, if you are brave enough to choose your obsession and disciplined enough to protect it. Take one deep breath. Forgive the wasted time. The system is ready. The ocean is vast. And it is time for you to finally take the rudder.